Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode on Laid Back, the Atirozinga podcast. Our topic for this week is Igbo system, and this is the second part of the series. Our guest for this week is a researcher in marketing here in the UK. Hello, Dr. Arinze. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Dr. Arinze. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
It's like for one Dr. Arinze to the other.
You know.
Yeah, but first of all, like I said, I want to thank you for honoring the invitation. But let's start with defining what Igbo Apprenticeship actually means. What is Igbo Apprenticeship all about?
Okay, thank you again for having me. So, Igbo Apprenticeship is almost what we know as Ibambo. So, is almost like a situation where somebody lands under an oga.
Yeah.
By what I mean by an oga, somebody lands under a boss. So, let's say I have a spare parts shop, and then I'll call on somebody for a particular number of years. I'll train them, and I'll show them the in and outs of what, being a spare parts trader, what it entails.
Yeah.
And then by the end of that apprenticeship, that person would have had enough information, enough knowledge, and enough know-how to then be able to start up their own business, which would also better their own life.
Yeah.
And this is something that has been going on for millions and millions of years, and like you said, has now been tagged as an Igbo apprenticeship system. So I think, to just put it in a layman's words, it's just simply someone that is very knowledgeable in a particular business area, get somebody, then train them for a particular period of time, having hands-on experience. So this is not about what you're learning through books, but it's actually hands-on experience of what that business entails, of what is happening there. And that experience would then, be able to help that person when they are done. After a couple of years, they will now settle them, and then they will be able to start up their own. And I know so many people that have gone through that system, and they're all doing very well today.
Oh, okay. But, he said it's been going on for a lot of years now. I had someone on the podcast recently, and he mentioned that the Igbo apprenticeship system actually started after the war. What do you think about that?
I think it started before the war.
Okay.
And I think it started way before time, because I can understand why they will say after the war, because a lot was damaged during the war in the eastern part.
Yeah.
But it actually started before. But then it used to be farming.
Yeah.
In terms of subsistence farming. So a father would teach the son of what the farming is about. The son would teach his own kids. His own kids would teach the people that are working for them. So yeah, it's been there before, but I think it was after maybe slightly after the war that the new form of how it has taken now started. But it's been there before time immemorial.
Oh, okay. But let's link it now to your research. Your research background is in emerging markets, and you're looking at ways to see how they thrive in the face of institutional adversity, if I'm correct. So
yes.
Let's link it to Igbo apprenticeship now. Like, why do you think this model of Igbo apprenticeship has actually thrived despite the institutional adversity we face in Nigeria? Why do you think it has thrived?
Oh, that's a very good question. The one reason why it has thrived is that it provides hands-on experience. So let's say that you're a 16-year-old, considering the institutional voids we face, lack of infrastructure, lack of funding, so it's usually really very difficult for a 16. So imagine a 16-year-old finishing school now with no opportunity, no help. So that if then someone that is very knowledgeable in a particular business area then comes and says, okay, I'll train you for, let's say, 4 to 5 years or 6 years. I'll show you the in and out of what this business entails. And then at the end of the day, I will now give you a startup money to then be able to start up your own. Indirectly, you have advanced that person's life, irrespective, of the social voids or what the person would not have been able to do. So I think the Igbo apprenticeship system is one way that has been actually used to overcome that institutional voids.
No, okay. But If you link Igbo apprenticeship to entrepreneurship, in
Yeah,
general, yeah,
yeah.
how do you think this Igbo apprenticeship system or the model can actually contribute to the global markets in your own opinion?
Oh, that's excellent because right now I know a lot of successful Igbo businessmen that pass through the system. They're now dealing worldwide. They're now going to China. They're now, for me personally, I grew up in Anambra, so I
Yeah.
saw a lot. I saw lots of this. I was surrounded by this Igbo apprenticeship system. I saw how it changed a lot of people's lives and their whole family. So in terms of the world entrepreneurship system, 100 percent helps. I have. Okay, I remember. I would give you an example now. So I remember there was a friend of mine back in those days. I know he went through the system, and then because of the learning he learned from the person he served, when he now finished, he started going to China, and from China he started importing goods back home to the extent that the networks he met in China actually had to come down and open some form of business in the local area where we were then. So this is, an excellent example of how that Igbo apprenticeship system has transcended,
Beyond
I would say,
Nigeria, yeah.
yeah, beyond Nigeria, beyond the borders in this case. So yeah, definitely, it does help.
Oh, you said you grew up in Anambra, so
Yes.
we are both Igbo people, and I think Anambra is actually the hub for this Igbo apprenticeship system compared to other parts of the country.
Yeah.
Um, do you think like Anambra can actually become the Silicon Valley of Igbo startups, like copying the startup models in Silicon Valley? Do you think we can actually transform Anambra to become the Silicon Valley in Southeast using the Igbo apprenticeship system?
100%. I think that is what is slowly happening. If you look at places like Main Market,
Yeah,
Onitsha, one
yeah,
of the biggest markets in the whole West Africa, it could happen 100%. But then in Nigeria, you can't do anything without the government.
yeah.
So and unfortunately, I won't want to go into the political side, but everyone knows what is happening. Question you asked, yes, it could be the Silicon Valley, but for anything to happen in Nigeria, the governments, they always determine the role of everything,
Yeah,
and presently the situation we're facing in the southeast. So,
yeah.
if things were normal, 100%, that system would actually help. Yes, 100%.
Oh, okay. Um, but there's something I find a little bit problematic with the Igbo apprenticeship system, like especially the managerial networking partnership. For example, if you look at most of the businesses are Emeka and Sons, Arinze and Sons,
Mhm, mhm.
and you notice that most of these businesses actually go down under after the patriarch of the family or the person who started the family and who started the business dies. For example, I can let you boss and the rest of them. But why do you think, first, how can this be mitigated? But why do you think that the Igbo businesses haven't tried as much as possible to turn this into a corporate firm, like a big corporate firm? And how do you think this can be mitigated to actually switch it so that not when the person who started the business dies, that's the end of the business?
That's a very good point, but I think it goes down to our culture. Igbos are a very collectivist society. Well, what I mean by that, I mean we think so much of our family. People are more concerned about our family. How is it doing? Are they doing well? And again, because of what happened during the war and how our position is in Nigeria now, there's
Mm,
also a bit of lack of trust sometimes amongst ourselves,
mm,
because these are the people that go through the system are usually people that they didn't really have a lot, right?
Mm.
And then they have now gone through that system. They have now learned a whole lot by their own self. So most times it's usually difficult to even transfer that skills to their own kids, because sometimes they wouldn't be able to, um how will I say it, they wouldn't really be able to pass through what their own parents have passed through. So I think it goes down to the culture. I'm not gonna lie. I think the first thing is the culture, and then how could we mitigate it? How could we maybe go beyond this?
Yeah.
And that is where, I think maybe the government forces could also be able to come in, because some of these things that you are saying, I think that there are not enough laws that are even safeguarding it.
Yeah.
Right? There are not enough. There are not enough laws. There are not in, and again, it then goes back to that institutional voids. There are not enough laws that are safeguarding these companies. If you have in such a way that maybe you have to have a shareholder, there's a certain amount of, you have to be making sure that you remit every year. It would now make those guys to be able to go out and feel like, okay, how could we get shareholders? How could we get more people to be able to invest into this business? To improve on what we're actually doing.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think one of the causes of it is the culture, and like I said, we have a very collectivist culture mindset. It's about me and my family. Once my family is fine, once I am feeding them, I am definitely okay. And how could we counter gain it? I think one way could be maybe having the laws, and maybe, I don't know, having programs or institutions that would be able to make those guys to grow more than what they're doing.
I think outside the box at least.
Yeah, because if there's a funding opportunity, like let's say there's a small business funding opportunity, you are looking for something that you will do that will be able to make you think outside of the box, and you need about £100,000, and you can easily get it, and the paying back loan, is not that much. Then I think that could be able to, make those guys think beyond more than what they are doing. But again, if you remember, like I said from the beginning, this is a situation where, usually people, from not strong backgrounds, and this is almost like a way for them to make something out of their lives. So if they have gone through that process, they have so much knowledge, it then becomes quite difficult to pass that on to the next person.
Yeah. Okay, because sometimes I wonder why it hasn't evolved into that, because I get that the current system or model has actually helped a lot of people from low income backgrounds and all, like, to actually help their families as well. But because I've been thinking, if it's actually done, if it transformed into a big corporate entity, I think it can solve a lot of unemployment issues in Nigeria. So using that, do you think the current model, without like transforming them into a big corporate entity, do you think it can be used to solve unemployment issues in Nigeria and Africa at large?
100%. Again, I don't even think making it a big enough company could really be able to, because remember, this is a means to survival.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So however you look at it, is a means of, there's this thing we say in Igbo, like, so is a means of you having something to actually eat, is you doing your own handwork. So the way it is going, the way it was fashioned, is to be able to benefit an individual level. And going back to the question of maybe why is it not bigger, the truth could also be that those guys, their kids might not, the interest of their kids will not lie onto what the parents are doing.
Yeah.
I've seen a situation where, people that went through the system, they've now become big, they have now made it, but the kids are now not interested in going through that line that their parents actually went. And again, because there's been only the CEO at the top, the one doing everything by himself, then when that person now dies, the business ends. So I think the current system is definitely still helping.
Yeah, but think about it, yeah. I know some of them, their children end up saying, "Oh, I don't want to toe the same line as my dad." But do you think the parents actually bringing the children into the business in another way? For example, let's say they sent off their children to study different courses, maybe human resources and all. Then when they graduate, they invite them into the organization. Maybe make one of them the one that did the human resources thing to become the human resource manager. It a little bit. Do you think doing that can actually make their children to say, okay, do you know what? Actually, working for my dad or being part of this business, it's not bad after all.
I would say it depends. I think this is quite a subjective thing. It depends. Yeah. First of all, the kids have to have interest in doing that thing that they want to do. And second of all, the CEO or the person that owns the company also has to be willing to delegate those tasks to the people. So I've seen a situation where there's a man that he owns a hotel in Abuja. He went through the system, he has gotten a hotel, and he has a son. And the man, because he's still agile, he still feels he could do everything. And then the son now feels, okay, maybe I'm not yet ready. Yeah. Right, because the man is still there, and then he decides to start doing something else on his own. So I think it goes both ways. There has to be interest from the kids, and then those parents also have to be willing to delegate those tasks. Because, like I said, if you have done something for several years, you have done it all by yourself.
Yeah,
and if someone else.
And the average Nigerian parent will tell you, what do you know?
Exactly. What do you know? So, yeah. And some of them, they will still be seeing you as a kid. Mm-hmm. So if there's a situation where they could start that and bring them in, yeah, that would be very nice. I know, again, most of these guys, they wouldn't want the kids to go through what they suffered.
Yeah.
Right? And so the way, it's almost like there is a study that has shown that kids of immigrant parents most times don't do as well as their parents did. The reason being, because the parents, once they come here, they have a goal, something to really face, compared to the kids that were already born in a good condition. So I think that those could be the basis. But from the research I've done and from experience as well, I think what usually happens in this case is that those owners don't want their kids to maybe go through what they faced, and the kind of training they give them is not how they learned.
Yeah.
Right. So that now becomes a little bit of a middle ground, and that's why it's only when you now see changes, only maybe when the man dies or the woman, the person that is owner of the company, is only when they now die, and you now hear that, the son has taken over, and you now start seeing those changes, because those ones are more in tune
with the
time. Yes.
Yeah. Because it's so sad to see. I know I keep mentioning this particular one, Ekenlich, because I don't know when I was growing up, that was one of the biggest transport companies, but I don't think anybody talks about it. He died. That's it. And no one talks about them anymore. But for the sake of time, we're going to round off now. But I want you to think about this question. Since you have expertise in marketing, yeah, if you had the chance to market this business model to the world at a global stage, how would you go about it?
Interesting. I think it's already been done in some parts of the world, right? Yeah, but maybe not along the lines of how we do it in our own part. So if you look at, for instance, these days, kids at universities in the second year or third year of their course, they go for internship.
Yeah.
Right. They do it one year. Some when they're studying is already happening. I think the way I will be able to market it from a marketing perspective and also from an educational place is to maybe have more technical schools or more technical colleges where it is not necessarily now about book, but it's about teaching people skills. So let's say if you want to be a teller, if you want to be a hairdresser, giving them hands-on knowledge or hands-on, experience of how that is going.
Yeah.
Obviously, in our way back home, somebody will have to leave the family, go away for 6 to 7 years, while boy. But in this case, it won't be like that. It's maybe having a technical school, somebody could still be going to university, but if it's every Sunday or if it's in the evening, 2 hours, if you go there, learn those skills, have hands-on knowledge of what is happening. I think that is the way I'll be able to market it, because the formal education, it teaches you how to think.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't give you that hands-on knowledge.
Yeah.
And this is what that Igbo apprenticeship system does. It gives you 100% hands-on knowledge of what happens. So if you're able to now combine being a critical thinker and having that hands-on knowledge of how it goes, I think, the sky is almost like the starting point.
Oh.
So I think the way I'll be able to market it is, advocating more for more technical colleges, more hands-on experience. And even me in my lectures, in my own little way, I try to do it. After every lecture, I give them a case study. I know that would not be anywhere as real as doing it, but it just gives them at least some insights into what it actually goes, and then they now combine it into the theoretical aspects that they're actually learning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. But anyway, that's all the time we'll have for this week. But I'm thinking about it now. Okay, first of all, let's not end it this way. So you've mentioned how you're going to market it to the world. Yeah. So is there any other business models similar to the Igbo apprenticeship system out there that you feel like both models can be merged together? Any?
Now the world is becoming a global village.
Yeah.
There's way more. Most businesses are moving online now. In fact, we're having this podcast. You're somewhere down of England. I'm somewhere in the Midlands, and we're still able to communicate. So I'd say one business model, I think, that the Igbo apprenticeship system, that most of those guys, which I have seen, is like, let's say I go to buy a phone, and in Nigeria sometime about 2-3 years ago, and I went to a guy that I know, like he went through this Igbo apprenticeship system. He served his own boss, and then when I went to buy from the boss, and I found out that he's opened his own.
Yeah.
And I was he didn't even have a business card.
Yeah.
For instance, there was no let's say internet website, or for me to even have a go inside. So I think one business way would be if there's a way they could be able to make it more digitalized, especially in today's global world. I think that would really be able to help them. That is a business structure that I see in a way, because that is what the Chinese do really very well. I was in China, and no matter how small the shop is, they will tell you their website. This is yeah. Even in Istanbul, in Turkey, when I went clothes shopping, no matter how small, they all have websites. Or they will tell you, we could ship, we could do this, we could do this. But most of those are guys in Onitsha or in main market.
They don't do such things. Yeah.
Nah, they don't do such things, and I think that is what could be limiting them. Yeah. Because if someone from the UK wants something, because there's a huge Nigerian society here now, so let's say you could order something, someone from Onitsha, and within 2 to 3 days they get it up. That's extra means of income for them, and that is them expanding up to what they are doing. So I'd say, if there's a way they could fusion in that, because I wouldn't really say of any business model, because the problem I have with business models that work in other places is most times it wouldn't work in our own environment. I'm always very particular of suggesting business models for people when I know different areas have different problems, but the internet is something that almost connects the whole world.
Yeah.
So I think that is something I would say one way that they could definitely be able to grow bigger than. But even if you look at some hotels, I've been to some hotels in Abuja. Like even hotels, how big they are. Some don't even have good websites, and they don't know the importance of that.
Yeah.
Imagine someone that is coming into Nigeria and they can't afford Sheraton or Nikon, and then they're looking for a place. Just what they see on your site
Yeah.
could be what would influence them to actually say, okay, this is where I want to go
This is where I
into.
want to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. Actually. But anyway, that's all the time we'll have for this week. Thank you so much, Dr. Arinze, for coming onto the show.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Anytime. I wish we could even talk more and have more time because it's interesting as I started digging deep into it.
Yeah, no, definitely we'll have more episodes as long as you are available and you enjoy it. That's fine. We can actually have more episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
All
Thank
right.
you so
Thank you
much.
so much.